No. Many problems right now, and I don't see it. What's my perspective on it turning around? It's going to take quite some time. It's not. This feels so different than in the up and down cycles that I've been through in the 45 years.
Hey, welcome to Beyond Organic Wine. I'm Adam Huss, coming to you from America's hottest water refugee destination, upstate New York, where the spirits, water table, and property taxes are high as the sun in the sky and the unmowed goldenrod at the end of July. Thanks so much for listening. I have a question for you if you are a Patreon subscriber. Would you like me to announce your name on an episode as a way of saying thanks? I haven't done this because of my own feelings about this, but maybe you feel differently. Please let me know. And if you are a new subscriber, send me a note when you subscribe, and I'll be delighted to announce your support if that's what you'd like. And if you'd like to subscribe and support this podcast, the link to our Patreon is always in the show notes. And a big thank you to all of you for your support. It's hugely important and actually necessary to making this possible. And because this is an episode about a California producer, I wanted to mention that this January 2026, it's official, we're putting on a historic one-day conference at UC Davis called Embracing Hybrid Grapes in California. We now have a website, embracinghybridgrapes.com, so you can check out what it's all about. It's minimal at the moment, just sort of a teaser website, but definitely gives you some juicy info. We're going to open up ticket sales in a couple months, but right now we're looking for sponsors. This is an amazing opportunity to align your company or your brand with progressive, beyond organic viticulture and wine, and to connect to the leaders who will be moving wine in California into the future. If you would like to sponsor, or if you know someone who would make a great sponsor, please email me at connect@organicwinepodcast.com. And I'll send you a link to our sponsorship deck with all the info. Embracing Hybrid Grapes in California will be on Monday, January 26, 2026 at UC Davis. Now, I forgot to mention that because of your support, a few episodes ago, I published the 200th episode of the Beyond Organic Wine podcast. I didn't make a big deal about it or even say anything about it, but I'm realizing I should have at least said something because it's not a personal accomplishment, but something I share with everyone who listens and supports this podcast. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude, actually, when I stop and think about it. Thank you for making this milestone possible. If I have one wish for this podcast, it is to do more deep reporting episodes similar to the series I did on voles, which was about so much more than just voles, if you listen to it. To be truly helpful to you and not just skim over deep and complex problems and sort of do an infotainment type interviews, I've realized that I need and want to produce more well-researched shows which examine the many complex issues in wine from multiple points of view with scientific studies and data to consider. The problem is that these take enormous amounts of time. I calculated the time I spent on the Vol episodes, and it was the equivalent of a week at a full-time job for each episode, approximately. Unfortunately, the financial support for this podcast that we receive through Patreon subscription and donors and sponsors literally only covers the operating costs, website and hosting fees for the 3 services required to record, publish, and promote the podcast. None of my time is supported financially, which, makes it impossible to dedicate 40 hours a week to producing episodes if I also, want to eat food. So here's a question for you. Can you imagine this podcast being a better resource for you? Are there topics that you'd like to really dig into and hear from scientists and multiple folks with lots of experience? Things like anything, trellising, pruning, making sparkling wines, wine traditions from around the world that use fruit besides grapes, grape breeding, vitiforestry, organic fungicides, Japanese beetles, biochar, anything else. There are several ways that you could help make one of these deeper episodes possible. Number 1, donate or sponsor the episode. Tell me what you want to hear about and make a donation or arrange a sponsorship to cover my time to research and produce the episode or series of episodes. Number 2, do you have connections to scientists or experts who you could put me in touch with? about the topic. It's always a big help, doesn't cost you anything, and saves me some cold calling time, which is actually really helpful. Number 3, and this is just kind of like a deal that I thought would be like a little promotion. If 25 new people subscribe to Patreon at a $5 level, I will produce a deep episode on a topic of your choosing. Make that suggestion when you subscribe, and I'll put it to a vote to all the Patreon subscribers when we reach 25. And I don't mean to make this sound like a plea for money. If I don't hear from anyone, I will continue to produce as interesting of episodes as I can within the limits of the time that I can afford to give. I just think this podcast could be so much more helpful and would like to give it the time necessary to make that possible. And I want you to understand the financial realities for me. The 200th episode was the special episode I released on the 4th of July titled Vinifera Culture is Dead. In many ways, it was the summary of the 6-year journey to release all 200 episodes and where I've come to after the first 199 episodes. And I'm sure I'll continue moving forward in other ways, new insights and new learnings. That episode generated some feedback. The feedback from those of you who listened was overwhelmingly positive. From those of you who read the title and were outraged and wrote to me without listening, the feedback was confusing. But what I think I heard in the negative feedback was that in Europe, vinifera is the indigenous grape, so many normal indigenous Europeans grow it and use it to make wine as they have for millennia. And that indigenous culture is alive and well. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I say this in the episode, so please listen to the episode if you haven't. And even if you haven't said something negative and haven't listened to the episode, I think it's worth listening to, so please check it out. In fact, there are many people also growing hybrid grapes in Europe. And in pockets, a few outlaw winemakers have grown hybrids for decades. Check out the documentary titled Vitis Prohibita if you haven't seen it. Such an important film. I just watched the trailer again and I realize I have to rewatch it. One French farmer refers to grapes as either chemical dependent or chemical independent varieties. Which one do you want to grow? I vote for independence. In fact, I'm writing a book called Wine Liberated, and it's about what wine can be in a post-vinifera culture world. And that will be coming out next year. Now, my guest for this episode is the matriarch of a Mendocino winery that has been organic since before there was organic certification. Martha Barra runs Barra of Mendocino, which includes the Girasole brand, one of the few wineries with both vineyards and winery certified organic. Barra is a family business that her late husband Charlie started by purchasing Redwood Valley Vineyards in 1954. She describes a bit of what organic farming entails, especially not just the farming, but in the winery, and their experiment using old vines to produce biochar when they replant, or don't replant, as the case may be now due to the state of California wine industry. And yes, we get into what the state of the California wine industry is. In this candid conversation, Martha describes the current challenges to being a winery in California. She gives details of the significant costs of H-2A visa labor for vineyards in California for wineries like Barra who abide by or exceed the requirements. This is such an important discussion at this time of evaluating the importance of immigrant labor in the United States, and I think it gives some valuable data for us to consider. And Barra is one of the few wineries of this size, approximately 250 acres of vineyards and 20,000 case production, who uses H-2A labor, mainly because of the costs and regulations. From a migrant worker's standpoint, it seems a very positive program. And while Barra is in a unique position to take advantage of it, and it obviously has some benefits for them, I respect how they've embraced it. And I respect Martha's comment that what brings her joy in her job, in her life, is signing payroll checks and knowing that her employees are able to make a living for themselves and their families from this work. And I think this is important to contrast to the recent news coming from Champagne about the appalling exploitation of workers from Africa and Ukraine. Once again, I'm reminded that what goes into a bottle of wine and what the cost represents and how difficult it is for good actors like Barra to make it make financial sense, and they have a lot of advantages that other wineries don't. And could they even afford to be in the business if they hadn't owned their land for several decades? And how silly we are to have wine tasting evaluations and competitions that don't take into consideration the context of how a wine is produced, so that we could have a gold medal 95-point champagne made with essentially modern slave labor. And look, don't take my advice on marketing and sales, but maybe educating wine drinkers about the context of wine and how important it is to have quality context, not just quality flavors in the glass, will help with the perception of well-produced wine's value and price. But I digress. We also hear the strains Martha notices on the wine industry, and that she is experiencing personally at Barra as California goes through what I would call the diminishment of vinifera culture. While Martha is optimistic that California wine will adapt, she definitely thinks there are some big changes ahead. Barra is one of California's legacy wineries, and through our conversation, I came to really like Martha and hope she's right. I'd like to see Barra and other wineries like it be able to adapt and have a future where the business is good for the land and the people who live and work in it. Enjoy. Welcome, Martha. Thanks for doing this. And yeah, I'd love it if you would please introduce yourself and where you are.
So I'm Martha Barra, Barra of Mendocino, and our home ranch is Redwood Valley Vineyards, and we're sitting right up against the foothills in Mendocino County, about as far north as you want to grow grapes in California. I've been in this business for 45 years, having married my husband Charlie, who is now deceased, in 1980. Times have changed. Let me tell you, Adam. Times have changed.
How? I mean, let's just jump right in. How? Tell me about that. What would you say about that?
Well, there was, when I first started working in the wine business, I actually came out of the legal field. And when married my husband, I jumped right in. But those were times when labor was plentiful. We were smart enough that we had employee housing, which made it a lot more accessible too.
Hmm.
Um, Lots of grapes were being planted, but they weren't planted in the Paso Robles area. Even in Mendocino County, Anderson Valley uh, wasn't really fully developed.
Yeah.
So there's just been a lot of new changes. We used to not have to compete with Chile and Argentina. So
Yeah.
there's just a difference in the shift of access and costs of production, supply of labor, many, many changes in the industry.
Right.
Regulations. Don't get me started on regulations.
I might have to.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about Charlie. He, as I understand it, you know, was basically farming organically from the beginning before there was even an organic certification. Do you know why he cared about that back then? What
Well,
was
as he pointed out, his father or grandfather had farmed before him, and they did not use chemicals in their production. And he said, I don't have to do that. Why should I?
right?
The
Yeah.
other thing that he followed was when the new clone of AXR1 rootstock, not a clone, but a rootstock was
Right.
developed, much of Napa and Sonoma planted it.
Right.
He did not. He stuck with the old St. George rootstock,
Right.
and that proved to be a monumental benefit for our company.
Yeah, everybody had to replant that planted AXR,
Correct.
right? It
Yeah.
turned out not to be super phylloxera tolerant.
Right. Yeah.
So what happened? Did that mean you guys had grapes when nobody else did? What was the story there?
You mean during that period of the replanting?
Yes, yeah,
Yes. No, we were planting and replanting. When he bought the vineyard, it was not in real good shape, and so it was, it was vines that had been planted on their own rootstock,
hmm,
and versus the very sturdy St. George rootstock. So he replanted um, many, many, many acres,
gotcha.
always reaching outside and figuring out another way to make money to have the resources um, to do that expansion and upgrading the vineyard. He actually did a pear packing shed, for several years just to earn extra money,
for
just
the vineyard.
outside the grape industry.
Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting. And did he do anything else like that? Were there other sort of side
He
hustles, I
always
guess we'd call them
custom
today?
farmed for other people. He was very good at giving directions over the phone. I can remember him telling about farming in another county, even, and being able to have a good foreman with a crew in another county and being able to make extra money like that, too.
Oh,
So,
great.
yes, he was always very much of an entrepreneur.
And you said St. George was monumental for your company. In Was it solely because of that saving you the hassle of replanting once again, or
Sure,
just and
replanting
the
is very,
costs?
very expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you don't have to do that, and then and you don't have to wait the 3 years for production to come into play, then that's another, that's more income in your pocket. So
Right.
that
Three
was
years
that
of
was good for
production.
a good move on his part.
Right.
But Charlie
Can
was always inventive and willing to take a chance. For example, he was one of the first people to use overhead frost protection
Oh,
rather than wind machines and smudge pots.
okay. So he was
Now I'm really
sprinkling.
going back.
Yeah. So he started doing sprinklers.
Exactly.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
And it was interesting in that when he first started out, he didn't have the science behind it. So he would actually leave the sprinklers on until the ice melted. Well, the reality of it is when the temperature reaches 32, you can shut the sprinklers off because it
Right.
doesn't get any colder than that. So, that was just a learning, but that shows you in, how far ahead he was, and that the science
Yeah.
hadn't caught up with it yet, or to him it what hadn't.
Huh.
So
I mean, do you have a sense of what was? I mean, from what you knew about him, what was his? Why was he so far ahead? What was he thinking about? What was his?
I think
What
just
drove him or
always being
motivated his thinking?
willing um, to experiment and change, make change, and from going from 50-pound wooden boxes in the vineyard that you stacked on a truck and delivered, going to the gondola system was big.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
he remembers delivering. He told a story of delivering to Winty, where he had to help them devise a hoist to dump the bins versus dumping boxes into the hopper.
gotcha.
So, and he said, I had to do that because I had a bad back. And he said, I knew I had to change. So he was very um, far ahead in that respect, too.
Huh, that's great. So,
Yeah.
uh, and when you came in, did you kind of have a similar ethos? I mean, is that kind of what you guys saw in each other, or
Adam, what made Charlie and I successful in working together was I learned very quickly that I did not give Charlie Barra any kind of direction when it came to viticulture in the field, but he didn't get into my finance or compliance or regulations, and so that was my territory. And then he had his, and I had mine. And it's
gotcha?
interesting that in the structure that I operate now with my children involved in the business. My daughter is director of marketing and sales. My son is production, and I am farming along with a very good foreman. But we each have our own responsibilities, our own focus in our departments, and it works.
Right. Well, you've kept this organic legacy alive and built on it. I mean, could you talk a little bit about that and how?
Exactly. So this was 1988 that we actually became certified in 1988. Had of course had to start 3 years in advance and changing, and we didn't have a lot to change, but we knew that there was, following California certified organic farmers protocol to the T. There were some changes that we certainly made. Cover crops being one of them. But the reason that um, we didn't want to use chemicals, and we really knew, well, we really thought that the Environmental Protection Agency was going to do away with the harsh chemicals. That has not been true because there was enough advocacy by the chemical companies at the government level that that did not happen that we
Right.
expected. But
Right.
we wanted, for the health of our workers, for the watershed that came through our ranch. There was a well down in the field that was serviced one of our employee housing units. And so, there was just some things that told us that this was the right direction.
Right.
So we did that. And we haven't changed our focus at all. It's been beneficial to us, we believe, in the wine market. When you go into the market and you say, oh, by the way, we carry the CCOF label on our bottles of wine. This is unusual in
Yep.
that the vineyards have to be certified as well as the winery,
Right.
many restrictions. And so,
Yeah.
therefore, you won't see very many certifications on the bottles of wine.
Yeah. I mean, my question for you, I know that, we probably agree very much about how important some of those restrictions and regulations are in the vineyard. How do you feel about them in the winery?
Oh,
Like,
I do. I
oh, okay.
There's a lot of our winemaker said when he started making wine for us, following the or, National Organic Program protocol for making wine, he said it was like having his right arm tied behind his back because
Right.
there are so many additives that we can't use. You
Right.
don't use metabisulfites, you don't use mega red, or you don't use mega purple. Everything that your yeast have to be any inputs have to be run by um, California certified organic farmers. They have to approve what's going into your production. In fact, one of the companies came up with a new product that they proposed that we could spray on the vines to keep them from getting sunburn, recognizing that the climate is changing.
Mm.
CCUF would not approve it.
Yeah.
So it was something that we couldn't test for them.
I forgot to ask, could you describe like the size of the farm? And sort of
Really?
the kind of grapes that you're growing, that kind of stuff?
Hmm. We farm about 350 acres, but only about 250 under vine because the rest are taken up by buildings and ponds and houses. And we do have 7 ponds, so
Oh, great.
some of them are quite large. So the varietals are Cabernet, Chardonnay, Pinot Blanc, which is
Mm-hmm.
unusual, Sangiovese,
Mm.
um, Muscat Canelli,
Oh, nice.
Zinfandel, and I'm missing one.
Pinot Noir? Do you do Pinot Noir?
Yeah, Pinot Noir for sure. That's so
Okay.
in the order of importance or size of acreage. Cabernet is first, Chardonnay is next, and then Pinot Noir. So
Yeah.
those are our three main ones and we're really noted for our Pinot Noir. That's what we sell the most of.
Okay. Great.
And
Yeah.
it has to do with where we grow because it takes a bit of cool climate. So
Yeah.
we're up against the foothills, and during September, particularly September, October, when the grapes are ripening, there's about a 50-degree diurnal shift between
Yeah.
day and nighttime temperatures. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. So you're doing some fun trials on your property too, right? Like you're
We're making the one that we're doing now is making biochar. And my foreman and I attended a workshop in Sonoma County with the Sonoma County um, no, Ecology Center, sorry, Sonoma Ecology Center that did a wonderful demonstration showing how to make it and explaining all of the benefits. So we have taken what we learned, and because we've been pulling out old vines that were not producing well, rather than burning them and letting the carbon go into the air, we are sequestering carbon um, by burning our old vines in a container. And what we took was the bottom part of a shipping container that still had doors on it.
mm-hmm.
And if you put those vines in there and you set it on fire, it burns at high temperature, low oxygen. and it comes out in black, kind of black cubes, but not like briquettes, but in like
Yeah.
charcoal.
Yeah.
So it's something similar. What it does was it sequesters carbon. It provides better water retention in the soil, and then it also feeds the soil uh, the little microorganisms that are in the biome of the soil. And
Yeah.
we we put it in new vineyards, and we've seen good results.
Do you have any specific data about any of those results? I'm just curious if
Not
there's a
yet. No, that's our
Okay.
next step. Is there wasn't that many acres of it, so we have just pulled out another 25 acres, and
Okay.
because of the condition of the wine industry, we don't intend to plant very soon because I wouldn't even know what to plant. But
Right.
when we do that, then it's bringing in soil scientists to really
Right.
do measurements.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing we do is we take all of the pomace, which are the grape seeds, skins, and seeds
Sure.
from the winery production. We cook it. And when I tell you we cook it, I mean it because it can set itself on fire
Okay.
for 9 months. And that's the protocol by the organic standards.
Okay.
And then we apply that back into the soil too.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So that, and I just had a discussion with my foreman about that this morning, and he is totally convinced that seeds contain potassium. And he says, that's a seed is a living particle. So
Yeah.
he really feels strongly that we still need to continue applying that, even though it's here again, another step, another expense.
Right. And you when you say cook it, you mean you're making like a big compost pile and letting it come up to
Yes, it
temperature. Is it
generates its own heat.
right, right. Which
So it
yeah,
kills.
hopefully sterilizes the seeds,
Exactly.
right? Right.
Mhm.
And then you don't have baby vines sprouting up all throughout your
All over the
vineyard.
place, yeah. But he
Yeah,
still
like
believes that
weeds.
there's some benefit in that,
For
so.
sure. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so smart too and keeps,
Mhm.
keep like otherwise it just becomes a waste product or I do know that some people you can, make seed oil and stuff like that obviously. Like there's a whole process for
They
that. And
do
people
make grape seed oil, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic.
The other
Uh
thing that we do is we do not burn the prunings. We
okay.
They go back into the center of the row, and then we chop them, and then we cultivate those back in.
Okay. Great. Yeah, so you're
Sure.
just sort of mulching them on site and adding them to the
Kind of,
soil.
kind of keeping a closed system, yeah,
Yeah.
as much as we can.
Yeah. You also, I think, have a few animals that you have hanging around, both that you've put there and that just put themselves there. It sounds like.
Well, yes, well, we have chickens, which are intentional. We have three alpacas, and two of those just had babies,
Oh,
and
great.
they are the cutest things. Oh my
Well,
gosh, they are
so
sweet.
yeah, not a huge herd then. Yeah, it sounds like they're uh, they're pets almost.
No, these are pets.
Yeah. Okay.
That's their sole purpose is to entertain us. So, but they're they're very very cute and have personalities.
Do
So,
you? I'm looking at a picture. I'm like, do you have peacocks as
oh,
well?
those are on the back. Those are from the neighbors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So they just came to
yeah. No,
visit.
those I don't claim those, but I'll tell you what we
They're just trespassing.
they were trespassing. But I will tell you what we had this last 2 weeks was a mother fox with four kits.
Oh,
Did you know?
beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they are. I
We
should have sent you a picture of that.
oh man, we just this like just a month and a half ago discovered them here on my farm in New York too, where I was just looking out the window and it had rained straight for a week and the first sunny day the mother came out and she sort of stood watch while these two kits just played for an hour and we couldn't leave the house because we were going to scare them away. So it just stayed in the house and watched out the window so that they could play in the sun. It was amazing.
And they are
Um,
beautiful.
they are, yeah, yeah, and lovely. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, it sounds like you're creating a
And
welcoming
of course
environment.
it is. And because we are organic, we have lots of Canada geese and mallards, many, and the ponds
Oh,
provide such
right.
a wildlife refuge.
Now, are you going to start feeding the chickens to the foxes, or how's that going to work?
No, it
Not
was
intentionally.
There was a coyote that was here this week.
Oh,
We're
oh
missing,
man.
I think we're missing four,
Oh boy. Yeah.
which is really sad because even chickens you get attached to.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's nice. What other forms of life or experimental things are you doing with your soil or anything at all like that? It sounds like there's some fun stuff that's been going on.
We've been replanting, taking out older vines that have not been producing well. So we
Uh-huh.
replanted 25 new acres last year, 15 a Pinot, 4 a Petite Syrah,
Uh-huh.
which I failed to mention a while ago.
Right,
And
right.
we didn't have enough whites, so we planted 6 acres of Sauvignon Blanc. So
Hmm.
we'll be very excited when we have that new varietal to work into our um, list of offerings
Yeah,
in the bottle.
you have some pretty old vines there, right? At this point. How
You
old are some
know,
of
it's very sad when you take out old vines that have been planted in 1962.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those were Pinot Blanc
Oh, wow.
that I know that came from Wente,
Okay.
and we still have some Chardonnay vines that are the old Wente clone.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like
So
that clone.
yeah, and
I-
but I will say that we have been replanting a lot just to keep our vineyards healthy and productive.
Well, you also mentioned you pulled out 25 acres. What are you seeing in the market, and what are you seeing with, yeah, I mean, just what's
Adam,
happening? How
there
are
are
things?
10 different reasons
Yeah.
why this market is like it is. I believe that one that I find is foremost is that there's a real movement in Europe and Canada that advocates that all alcohol is bad for you.
Hmm.
So you have that, and
Okay.
that's really strong because and if you look at I think it affects all of us, not just younger people. I think we're
Yeah.
all trying to be a little healthier.
Yeah.
And I, if you look at culture and going back in history, wine has been around forever. Sitting down with friends or family with a meal and having a glass of wine, it's just hard to believe that that's not a good thing to do. It's the abuses
Yeah.
where the problems are of any kind of alcohol or food.
Yeah. The dose
So
makes the
there's
poison,
there's
right?
that. There's been an overplanting.
Right.
One of the things I saw yesterday was the mention of volume volume of wine going down, but prices being higher.
Hmm.
I think that's moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I think prices of wine, and I know grapes in California, particularly Napa, have really risen way beyond what they should be.
Yeah. And when
Imports. I think we should talk about imports. There are
yeah.
8 large companies who are importing wines from Chile, Argentina, Australia. They can produce it so much cheaper than we can because we have high wages
Hmm.
and also all the restrictions.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Are I was, yeah, I won't make a I won't.
Lodi has pulled out 37,000 acres of grapes
Yeah.
this last year.
Right. Yeah.
So that will help, but until we get this back into balance with what's what's in demand, what is the demand versus what is grown. And
Right.
then we need to take care of called a duty drawback.
Ah.
Supposedly, this was set up to allow um, wineries to export as much as they imported, and then there would be no tariffs on imports. Well, it seems as though nobody's been paying attention.
Hmm.
So, therefore, all of this wine has been coming in without tariffs.
Right.
So, that is one aspect that needs to be taken care of.
It,
But
it's
that takes advocacy.
right. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. um.
So. many problems right now, and I don't see it. What's my perspective on it turning around? It's going to take quite some time. It's not. This feels so different than in the up and down cycles that I've been through in the 45 years.
Yeah, it seems like a transformation, not just a like a transition or something. It's like
Yeah,
things are big changes.
it is.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Um,
So you make wine too. Now I'm going to interview you. So
I
you make wine
do.
too.
I do. I love to make wine. I experiment with different things because I just sort of start following what I'm seeing grow well where I was. So when I was in LA, I started fermenting lemons and prickly pears because finding
Uh-huh.
I found them around all around LA, in abundance, in wasteful abundance even. So I was trying to find something good to do with those. And but then I also I just came out to New York, and I'm planting, so I'm not making anything yet.
Oh, you're
But
not making anything yet. Yeah.
yeah, but planting to get up to, yeah.
But
So
I'm
this
sure
this is
you
the
can
first.
find something there to ferment.
There's not that much organic farming here because it's most of the wineries are attempting to grow vinifera here because they can survive the winter because of the lake impact. The lake influence
Yes,
gives them
yes.
that edge that allows it to be moderated just enough so that vinifera survives the winter. But that doesn't mean it's the right climate for vinifera at all because
Right,
the fungal
right.
pressures are just insane. And so pretty much you could farm organically, but you would probably, it might almost be worse than just using some synthetic chemicals because you'd have to spray so often and do so many tractor passes. And you'd be just destroying your soil and building up lots of copper in the soil as well, and that
Well,
kind of thing. So
somehow every state is attempting it, so we'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, I think the secret here is hardy grapes that are resistant to the fungal pressure.
mhm.
So as long as we can get away from vinifera, being stuck on vinifera, it's fine here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not planting any pure vinifera. It's all hybrids here.
Okay, all hybrids.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, that would be interesting too.
yeah,
So
yeah. There's some
it'll
really
be
fun ones.
interesting where um, the production of hybrid grapes goes. See
Yeah,
and especially if they're matched to the changes in the climate.
right, right. Yeah, and I mean, I'm actually doing a little hybrids, embracing hybrids in California conference this January at UC Davis, just to
Hmm,
introduce that idea of even in California where it's kind of easier to grow organically, obviously, and vinifera does fine for the most part. There are a lot of things happening. There's Pierce's disease, and there are just
great.
ways you could definitely reduce sprays significantly
Hmm.
by switching to something that's a little more
And this
hardy or
is
more resistant.
entirely different from a GMO process.
Exactly right. It's just
Hmm.
traditional breeding where you're
Hmm.
pollinating flowers. That's it. Yeah,
Great.
exactly. Yeah. So it's
So
yeah.
let me ask you one thing. Since you're such a follower of the organic movement, do you see a lot of greenwashing?
Yeah, I do. Oh, I mean, it seems like it's always whenever somebody thinks there's a buck to be made, they lie. I think, like if it's the right kind of person, it's the dollar seems to take precedence over integrity,
Hmm.
in many
Hmm.
for certain people, obviously not for
Hmm.
everybody. But yeah, I think. I mean, I'm seeing it now with regenerative too, where people are just really trying to capitalize on this new term that they see. There's a lot of buzz, and people ask about it, and people want to buy it and support it, and so they're all of a sudden they're regenerative.
But
They
if it
haven't really
doesn't,
changed much, but they are now regenerative.
well, if it doesn't have regenerative organic in it,
Right, right,
to me
exactly,
it is greenwashing.
right. Yeah, that's a big
And
one. Yeah,
I know that sustainable is very popular, and the county south of us is really um, emphasize the value of it. But here again,
yeah,
when you get down to the use of chemicals, and then
yeah.
the inspection process that we go through is so different.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly right, and
I
you
think
could be
it's a step in the right direction. It's just not where what I want to consume in my body,
right.
what I want.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, what I want to work around and rub shoulders with, right? Yeah, it's not
Right. Well,
doesn't.
bless you for being a real proponent of the organic production.
Yeah,
And
well,
it runs to food also.
and now are you a California? Were you a California girl? Were you born and raised out there, or did you come from somewhere
Adam,
else?
interesting you asked that. I was born in a little town north of Tulsa called
Oh,
Nowata.
no, Wada. Okay,
Nowata.
huh?
But but the way I came to California was my oldest sister and her husband and family came and started a very large lumber mill. And this was at the time when the size of logs were huge. And
Right,
so then my father came to work with them, and then finally my mother and I moved um, to be with them. So
right.
that's how I ended up in
Oh,
California,
wild.
and
So,
then
yeah.
went to school
How,
and college and came back.
how? I
Yeah.
mean, how do you feel about Mendocino? Like, where? How does it fit in your in terms of your global travels, and how would you compare it to other places you've been?
I would think that it's small in numbers, very, very large. I think we might be the size of Vietnam.
Oh,
Mendocino
wow,
County is very large.
wow,
Not high, we're only about 90,000 people.
right,
So we're compared to Sonoma and Napa, we're very laid back.
yeah,
People love to come here. We have beautiful coastline. Our redwoods are unsurpassed. So it's I think beauty is
yeah,
our biggest asset in Mendocino County.
yeah,
And
I
of course, we still grow pears, so we have pears, grapes, and some timber, but it's very environmentally controlled. So
yeah,
we've lost a lot of mills. Fishing industry is not doing well, but here again, if you want to come to a beautiful place, Mendocino County is it, and good
yeah,
wines.
yeah, yeah. I was very impressed by the beauty of Mendocino when I
So, how do I
visited.
compare it in other places? I think if you would go to parts of France and parts of Italy,
Yeah,
and I always think about we have a very small town called Asti, Asti,
yeah,
in Sonoma County. It's only about a half an hour from where we are, um, and it's Asti, and it looks like Asti, Italy. So I, I always think that the train around here looks pretty much like Italy in parts of France.
yeah. I think that too. I mean, I agree actually. Yeah, that kind of blew me away when I visited. I was like, I mean, it is really just stunningly beautiful.
And you've been to Mendocino County,
Yes, yeah, several times now.
right?
Actually, worked with a winery there to produce some wine as well.
Uh
When
huh.
I was first getting started with our commercial winery, and then I've been back to visit, some other vineyards up there, and yeah, and
Great.
went out into Anderson Valley, sampled
Hmm.
some organic cider I found, and yeah, just traveled around because I wanted to come back after the
Yeah.
first
Well,
time
it
I
is.
visited.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And our coastline is rugged, but it's stunning.
Well, so you're probably not going to toot your own horn, but you were uh, honored as the agriculturalist of the year
I was.
last
Yeah,
year, right?
I was.
What did
Yes.
that involve? What was that about?
This is our local agricultural fair board.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and it's kind of an honor to be given that. You have to put your time in. You have to be.
Gotcha.
It's There aren't too many women who hold the position of being the lead farmer, and so um, there are a few of us around in Mendocino County. But so it
Yeah.
was an honor to be chosen.
Has being a woman in your career in wine been, have you do you have stories about that? Like, has it been
You know,
a battle at any time, or have you has
no,
no?
it's interesting. The USDA has grant funding once in a while for conservation or other special programs.
Uh huh.
So because I'm a woman, I get either 10 or 15% more because I'm disadvantaged. I Adam, are
Oh,
you laughing?
yes, I am.
So I've never felt disadvantaged in my life.
Uh-huh.
So no, I've never felt working within the industry any other than being accepted.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
Never.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh. Like, I'm sure
Mhm.
there are legitimate, real complaints, and I know that, like, I don't mean to laugh at the way you said it, and I'm just envisioning you, being disadvantaged. Like, you don't seem like the
Right.
kind of
I'm
person
not
who
that
would let
kind.
your,
I'm not that
yeah,
kind of person. No.
yeah,
Not. I don't think I'm a complainer. So,
yeah,
no, it's been a very good, enjoyable. Everyone looks at it as being a glamorous industry.
yeah,
They just don't know what goes on from the planting of the vine to putting it in the bottle. There's
yeah,
years and years of work
yeah, yeah. It's
and
true.
expense. So,
Yeah, and that is
but
the
every
tough
bit of
thing.
it's been a challenge and it's been good.
That is the tough thing about, like you were talking about. It would be great to bring bottle prices down,
Hmm.
but you don't want to devalue all of that work and all of the actual costs, like, which, that's what's tough right now in California, where labor is paid pretty well relative to the rest of the world, so to pretty much, and yeah, and it's not cheap farming in California either, so it's
No,
yeah,
not at all. No,
so it's
it's
tough.
it's the fixed costs too that just are really, I can see, really driving us,
Do you
driving our costs up. Yeah.
how is most of your wine sold? You have a pretty big production, right? I mean, with
We
that much.
well we own a facility, which is a custom crush facility that we only take up about 10% of because we're 20,000 cases. The facility that we own is called Redwood Valley Cellars, and it's a 2.8 million gallon facility that
Okay,
we make wine for other people.
got it.
And then that is mainly sold to other wineries on the bulk wine market. But our
Right,
brands are 20,000 cases. They're in 28 states and in Japan. And we were in Canada until
right,
a couple of months ago. And that the order was already in the queue and it disappeared. So um, thank goodness it's not a big percentage of our production that we have to move through the pipeline. But yes, we Japan does very well for us. They come and visit us every year, and so that's
that's
how far our reach goes.
yeah, that's fantastic. So, and you have a tasting room as well, but
We have a
does that
tasting room
is
and
that a
event
small
center
percentage
together.
of your sales? I imagine a smaller percentage.
It's probably between 10 and 15%.
Okay,
It's
mostly
we do
distribution.
ship out a lot via orders off of the web, so
Oh, okay,
that's quite doing quite well too. So
okay,
we're trying to hold our own, but it's I was just looking at statistics of the big companies like Behringer and some of the bigger companies, Constellation, and as you well know, Constellation is shedding their um, lesser valued wines and
right,
brands. Yeah,
yeah,
lots of changes right now.
yeah.
Lots of changes in distribution.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question that just occurred to me. You make wine at a custom crush, but you have to certify your facility. Does that mean everybody there also has to abide by the same
No,
organic
we
restrictions?
but we have different protocols for cleaning. Um,
Got it.
Tank. If we move the wine in a tank, everything is has to be washed with citric acid, and it's just a whole different protocol with the way our wines are treated versus standard. And no,
Got it.
that's a choice. We do
Right.
have quite a few organic farmers who do bring their grapes there to be made into wine under
Can they
the
take
organic
advantage of
certification.
right? Can they take advantage of that certification that you're getting to be able to
Yes,
use? Oh, okay,
yes, they
fantastic.
do.
Oh,
Yes.
that's really great. I mean,
Mhm.
especially if anybody's listening who wants to do that, that's they
Mhm.
might you might need get some new clients.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean that's really good to know. Yeah, it's I mean because I know it's tough. Like I imagine I unless you're like totally segregating your section of the custom crush, like it just is a lot of record keeping, right?
it is a lot of record keeping, and so it's like we are many times held off for delivery, either we're first in the morning or we're last at night because that's when it has to be cleaned in between.
Right. Got it.
So, yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
But then also, as I mentioned, there's lots of different additives that cannot be used in organic production.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, also our sulfites are under 100 parts per million. That's
Right.
another thing that we have to be very, very cognizant of.
Right. And so you can say made with organic grapes on the label
Yes,
because of that. Have you
yes.
ever made any, where you can label it organic wine where you haven't added any sulfites?
No, we never have.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
we
curious.
know
Yeah.
that it's low, and we know that we know what it does in the bottle, how it
Right.
protects. So the other thing that we use is that's different is that we use a sugar cane cork instead of cork off the tree.
Oh
It's
yeah.
compressed sugar cane,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's and totally recyclable.
Right. Right.
And we've
Biodegradable.
also gotten, we don't use a capsule on our reserve wines.
Okay. Just
The other brand called Girasole Vineyards,
uh-huh.
that's our second brand, which by the way means sunflower in Italian, Girasole, that uses a screw cap.
Oh
But
yeah.
the other one, here again, all you do is put it into waste. And so we don't use a capsule either.
Well, I
So
know
we're a
I've
little
seen.
different.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to mention your two brands there, Barra and Girasole. And
Hmm.
uh, I know I've seen your wines pretty widely available out there, right? Are you guys where are you guys in Whole Foods? Do you know where you are in terms of stores that people might visit
Like
frequently?
in New York.
Well, not necessarily New York. I guess I was thinking in California, but also New York. Anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's funny. My daughter is the director of marketing and sales, and she's the one that looks at all the depletions. And
Uh-huh.
I know in Texas there's a store called Specs that
Specs.
takes. They maybe have 40 some stores,
Okay.
and I know that they take pallets and pallets of wine.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
Fantastic.
but yes, in California we're in Safeway and Rayleigh's and some of
Okay.
the chains like that.
Okay.
Um, but
But it's
also smaller grocery stores and many that focus on organic producers.
yeah, and I mean, given what you guys do and what you said, I mean, it's not that your wines are, especially for Mendocino, too expensive. They're
No, they're
under
not.
30 bucks, right? Like for the
Very
most part.
reasonably priced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Girasole will be anywhere from 15 to $18. The
Right.
reserve
Yeah.
wines, because we do age them in French, mainly French oak,
Uh-huh.
um, are up to 26, $28.
Still
But,
incredibly
but that's
reasonable, I
still
think.
very reasonable for single vineyard, estate grown, certified organic,
Yeah.
barrel
Yeah.
aged wine. Yes.
Yeah. No joke. That's pretty
Hmm.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can do that, Adam, because we don't carry a lot of debt
Right.
and
You've been at this a
no
while.
production, no production loans. So, what, thankfully we can still, so far,
Right.
we're doing lots of analysis right now.
Right, right. What do you do you I mean, what do you think about somebody who might want to be starting a vineyard or winery in California at this point in history? What's your recommendation?
I think they should buy one that's already established.
Okay. Okay, what about somebody who's bootstrapping it and has low funds?
Low funds. If you have to finance it, the financing costs nowadays are just, I don't think now is a good time. They're
Right.
pretty high. The
Yeah,
carrying costs would be,
too high.
and then if you're starting out planting,
Right.
I don't know. I think this thing is going to balance itself because of uh,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's
Yeah.
there are a lot of wine grapes in the vine, but there's a lot of vineyards for sale.
Yeah. So there you go. Don't start another one. Yeah, that's
So when
that.
are you moving to California and buying a vineyard?
I don't think I will. I'm too worried about
Not
California.
today.
Yeah, no. No.
Oh,
Yeah, it's I'm I've got plenty on my plate here in New York already,
I
and
bet you.
just left California for,
Yeah.
to get away
Well, if you're
from.
going to grow grapes, this is truly the place to grow it. It's just
Well,
and we farm what allows us here in Mendocino County. And by the way, Mendocino has the highest percentage of certified organic vineyards in the state of California.
yeah, thank you for saying that. That's right.
Yeah.
It is kind of the
And
organic
one of the
mecca.
reasons, and it has to do with climate, in
Yeah.
that we don't deal with the fog that
Right.
like Sonoma County does. So we don't have that powdery mildew. And it
Right.
seems that rain seems to shut off in April, and we don't see it much at all until end of October.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we don't deal with the mildew pressures that
So you're
other areas do.
so I'm guessing you have to irrigate your vineyard.
We do. We do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We don't have really deep soil, so we are blessed on our home ranch with about 200 acre-feet of stored water. Those ponds fill with 10 inches of rain
Okay.
consistently.
Wow.
So that's for frost protection as well as irrigation.
Got it.
Yeah, drip
And
irrigation. We do have one vineyard that's high on a mountain, and
yeah.
that's where Petit Sirah and Zinfandel are grown. And we don't really have that much water, so we it's called deficit irrigation.
Gotcha. Right. Right.
But the grapes are intense. The flavors are
Mm.
wonderfully intense.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I made some Zinfandel from a dry farm vineyard in Southern California, which,
Ah,
yeah, very intense. Also
yeah,
very old vines too.
and very good.
Yeah, yeah, it was the last wine I made in California, and it's
Mm,
yeah, it's quite. I like it. I should share some with you.
yeah,
Um,
I'll give you my address.
okay, all right, sounds good. Um, yeah, I mean, what kind the soils that you have? I know serpentine is one of the sort of challenges of Mendocinos. You have a lot of serpentine soils there. What are you guys dealing with
We
in?
also have red vine soils here in Redwood Valley.
Okay, and what's that
Um,
like?
and they are really red, and it's
Okay,
where our Cabernet is planted.
okay.
Um,
How would you describe your Cabernet? Is it very tannic? Is it very fruity? Is it, I don't know, what would you like? What are the
no,
distinguishing
I really
characteristics?
think no, we because we age it in French oak for
Yeah,
18 months, the tannins integrate, and so by the time we release it, it's pretty doggone good.
it's just a nice
Where
balance, beautiful cab.
it is beautiful fruit.
Nice.
So, but also to long hang time. We used to sell lots of grapes to Behringer before that company sold to Treasury, the Australian
Oh
company,
yeah, yeah.
and we were always the latest,
Okay.
the last grower to deliver because of it maturing so late. But
Wow.
they bought it year after year just because of the quality.
Right.
Yeah,
So now you mentioned you had worker housing there.
we do.
Is that still in use? Or I mean, was that something that
So
has
when
that?
you deal with the H-2A program, and here again, this is
Yes.
where you bring in workers legally. It's required that you pay all of their expenses
Got
uh,
it.
for coming here, going through the embassy in Mexico. You house them, you transport them. If they need to go to the grocery store, to the bank, you take them. All of their needs are met. So, and then their wages are also fixed, Adam, at I believe it's 1992 an hour.
Got it.
So when they then anyone who's in our employ, that is the minimum wage.
Right.
That's a fixed wage then.
It's really
Cannot
good to
go
hear
below
that.
it.
Yeah, that is really great to hear all those
Now they can
details.
earn more, of course, and
Right.
because they pick. We used to pick by the pan. We paid them by the pan, but now they pick by the ton. So they'll
Right.
form a core. We'll have three core groups, and then they are paid by the ton, and they can earn much more than the minimum wage.
Got it.
Mm.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yes, we
that
certainly have. inspected labor housing. This is one thing and it's double inspected, once by the Employment Development Department and then also the California Department of Housing.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. I mean, when I say cool, it's these details are details that I don't think I've heard
And
anybody say
people
before.
do not get into the nitty gritty that
Yeah.
you've done today.
Well, this is really, I mean, worker treatment to me is really important, and it's really interesting to hear. I think it's really important to hear what you're required to do and what like sort of level standard of quality is already set. I think that's fantastic too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will say in Mendocino County, we are probably, there aren't too many farmers who use H2A workers.
Yeah, because
They still
it's
depend on contractors. But it was very hard for me to do that because there's a competition there because there is a labor shortage. And so
right,
a contractor would say, yes, I'll
right.
be there on Tuesday with 15 guys for a crew. And if they showed up with seven and they showed up at 11 o'clock, these are kind of things that do not work in our operation well. So yes, we go ahead and spend the money and
Yeah, it sounds expensive in a way.
it's
All
very
that,
expensive.
yeah, for H2A. So
Mhm.
it's got it.
Because you're housing several people for
Right.
2 months, so
Yeah, housing and transportation.
at
So
least, at least.
so mainly, yeah, like I was gonna say, mainly just harvest then.
Mainly, we keep a core group of 20, 22 people just here at the vineyard.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, count the winery, but
Gotcha.
then some
So
of those still they live year round here at the vineyard.
got it. Right. Well, are there any really hot takes that you have, Martha? any any things that you know you care about that you don't get to talk about very often in relation to wine, or what the kind of farming that you do, or anything else like that?
Well, I don't really, Adam. I really care about our community. I spend a lot of time volunteering on
Okay.
health boards and paying attention to the local politics. And but my enjoyment is signing a payroll check.
Hmm.
So when I see our employees taken care of and they've got families to raise, that's important to me.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So no, you know I've always spoken to you about the issues of the state of the industry right now, and
Yeah.
that is probably my biggest concern.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to go away very fast.
Yeah. I agree. It might just be a sea change. It might be
Right.
a
But we'll
yeah.
adjust, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll adapt.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Martha, thank you so much for this conversation. I appreciate it. This
You're welcome. You're
is
welcome.
there, do you want to say anything like your website or anything at all like that?
Sure. Our website is barraofmendocino.com,
Barra of
or you can look at Girasole Vineyards, Girasole,
And it's Barra
the
with two
vineyard,
R's.
and it will all come up, and it's extensive, um, and it's fairly new. Pictures are beautiful on there, and of course you can see all that we have as far as what our current, and we are current in our vintages. We
Great.
don't have any old. Kind of wish
Okay.
I did, but I don't have any old vintages around. Yeah, that's but they can always look at the website if they have any questions. They can call us. Uh, good a good email is info@barraofmendocino.com.
Got it. And Barra with two R's.
With 2 R's.
Thanks so much, Martha. I appreciate
Oh,
this
you're welcome,
conversation.
Adam. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. This closing song was played by Colden Pro one night on the bank of the San Benito River, so a big thanks to him for contributing this moment of beauty to this podcast and to the world, and to the crickets and river and other night creatures who accompanied him. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting the production of more like it. Support links are always in the show notes, and you can also visit the support page of beyondorganicwine.com. Thank you.